Hello, my name is Charles Johnson, a long-term resident of Stockton, California. I wouldn't say born and raised, but definitely spent a lot of time here, working as a consultant and also as a contract manager within the city. Done several different things within the community as far as leading different organizations, CBOs, nonprofits, and just committed to overall work and, more importantly, developing the African American community. So, love, respect, and honor, they mean varying things to me in varying capacities. If we're talking about community, love, respect, and honor mean loving the people that are near you, respecting everybody as a whole, and honoring all of the work and the history that people have poured into and given this community its light and its success. So the definition of love to me is basically, well, I don't know, that's kind of an interesting one. I define it a little bit differently. It's about how you care for things, right? I believe if you love something, you will take care of it, you will cherish it, you will honor it, you will do the best that you can by it to the best of your ability. And I guess that transcends itself from community to relationships to friendships and everything else. I think for me, a few ways that I would feel loved, respected, and honored within the Juneteenth celebration for this year would definitely be taking a more of an educational and historical approach to what Juneteenth is all about. And what I mean by that specifically is just this idea that there's so much historical and generational trauma that's related to just the idea of Juneteenth, right? Knowing that it literally is kind of within respects to one particular area of the United States, but just imagine being enslaved for an additional year, right, after the Emancipation Proclamation and all the things that they endured, and just having the trauma related to that as well. And so giving people more or less a highlight of what that looks like and how that feels, and kind of taking that and moving it even more so into today in terms of how we deal with trauma and how we respond to trauma, and just respecting the fact that and allowing, I guess, more or less to give space to the fact that this thing really does exist and it has some inference on us in terms of how we live today. So the trauma of being Black in America, the trauma of seeing your great-great-great-grandfather taken from one slave plantation to the next, or even being brought here from Africa in the manner that we were, and all the things that come with that. I like to call it a historical trauma, right? Things that are innately in us that we don't necessarily know. But sometimes when we get pulled over from the police or other things are happening in our community, why does it traumatize us the way that it does? I think that there's some links there that we need to be cognizant of and be aware of, and then also acknowledge, right, that these things do exist, and even the way that we're portrayed in America in terms of media and social media and music and all of these other things. Again, highlighting some of the needs for further emancipation, if you will, just to be able to share and tell our truths. How can we liberate ourselves from our current status? And I think it's just a reminder, a constant reminder of what has happened, and more importantly, who we are and who we were. Not just going back to American history, but also going back further into African history, and really diving into the different pieces of what collectively makes us who we are today. I think that's hugely important and wildly unexperienced for young people, especially in the Stockton area today. They don't know much about our history. They don't know much about Stockton history. The fact that as people were coming up, Black people in Stockton, they couldn't go past a certain point in the city, or the fact that, the mall or the Lincoln Village was all off limits to those who were people of color. And we take advantage of those liberties today, right? But we don't know how those things have impacted us. And so when we look at things, that, especially like what's happening in elections and everything else, and we don't recognize our value, and we're undershowing in the election process, or I had an opportunity the other week to be a part of the jury selection. And literally out of 300 people there, I was maybe one of 20 Black people. And then we wonder why there's questions about, well, Why are African American people getting treated the way that they are in the judicial system, and we're just not showing up? But again, it has something to do with that lack of respect for who we and what we've been through historically, and why it's a need for us to show up in those spaces and be present and to speak our truths and to tell our stories and to be relevant in the history books and to be relevant in everything that's going on. Even in this great city, I think it's really, really important. And it helps to liberate the mind a little bit, right? It makes you stronger, makes you more resilient, makes you more compassionate, not want to kill each other, not want to do a lot of the things that we see happening in our communities that are being highlighted and sensationalized more than the love, the respect, and the honor that is being done and has been going on in our community. Black Family Day is one organization that's been here for over 50 years now. Doesn't have the love or the respect or the honor that it should. There's been Black educators that have been in Stockton for 60 and 70 years. Jesse Neighbors is one of those individuals who has been here respectively since I was in school over 30 years ago, and no love, no honor, and no respect. So those are the things that I think about, knowing who those individuals are and having them continuously to have impact and to recognize them and to honor them is important. So my first bout with racism happened when in Stockton. I was at the bus stop at Stagg High School. I think it was my sophomore year. Just sitting there, just came out of 7-Eleven. About 5 cop cars pulled up on me with guns out, drawn, told me to turn my back and put my hands upon my head and get on my knees and all of these different things. And when all of that ended, it was basically one of those situations to where you look like somebody who we're looking for. Not gonna say it was a traumatizing event, but it was definitely something that I remember. And what I recognized from that event is that, anyone that looks like anything that they feel familiar with or feels like may look like, whatever, they'll do that type of thing. And so often we're put in these cycles and situations to where it's not necessary, right? Know who you're looking for. Don't just assume that every Black person on the street sitting at a bus stop, that's a kid. I mean, I'm older now and I still look young, so you can imagine what I look like at 14, 15 years of age. I look like an elementary school kid. I was very skinny, no hair, facial hair, no nothing. I didn't wear saggy jeans. I didn't gang bang, none of that kind of stuff. I was just a normal kid. But that was my first incident. My second incident, which is a little bit more aggressive, I was in North Carolina visiting family. Right before I made my decision in terms of what college I was going to go to, and about 4 white kids walking down the street called me nigger. And I stopped, I turned around, and I beat that kid up so bad. And I felt like all of the anger that I've had for all of those years, I just let out on that individual. But I also realized something about myself at that moment too, right? It was like how I choose to deal with these bouts of racism and things. They have to be proactive and progressive. I had an opportunity to go to North Carolina State at the time. That's where I was considering. And I ended up not going because of that incident. And I chose to go to a HBCU. And that's where I fell in love with being Black. And I fell in love with being a man. And I fell in love with our culture and our history. And it really gave me some sense of direction and guidance and light. And it was probably the best thing that could have happened, but it also taught me how to deal with those instances and bouts of racism. To an earlier question that you asked, when you don't have those people in place that are helping you to navigate this world, as a Black man, Black woman, Black person in America, you often find yourself on the wrong side of history, if you will, right? Because they're not teaching you how to get through those negative spaces, how to mentally collect yourself and deploy the right skills at the right time and be the person that you need to be in different spaces. There's been times where I've shown up and I've spoken at places and they say, "Oh, you speak so well, you're so articulate." And as if that's a treat or something that's novel, when there's a lot of me and there's a lot of people that speak like that, and to think anything contrary is kind of ignorant. Fatherhood means everything to me. I'm a father of 6. I have 3 babies and 3 bonus babies that I love to death. But I'm also a father in my community, right? I've coached probably at this point over 300 to 400 kids in the community, and every time they see me, they say "Coach" like we say "Dad." You know, "Hey, Coach, this is what's going on in my life, Coach." And I think to the question, fatherhood is about showing up and being present for those that are yours, but also showing up and being present for those that are around yours, right? And making sure that there's a bond there that they can collectively navigate towards and respect and give them some tools and some guidance that they need. I love Juneteenth because a lot of people don't know what it is, right? It's in its embryo phases of being accepted nationally. But even though we celebrate this holiday as a national holiday, many people don't even really know what they're celebrating or why they celebrate. And I feel that having this opportunity to celebrate Juneteenth gives us an opportunity to educate the people around us about what this actually means to us. And more importantly, what it means to American history and our portion in that. And I think the more time goes along, I hope people take less time to just sit back and observe the holiday in the house and take that time to observe the holiday as an opportunity to learn more about our history, to learn about our events, and to learn about our tragedies and even some of our successes in these spaces, to learn about what happened in Galveston, Texas and in Houston, Texas, and learn that there's differences between the actual Juneteenth celebration and the emancipation of African American people in other states. The difference is Texas is different than Mississippi. Mississippi is different than Alabama. And there's a lot of differences, right, across the Southeast coast. And so taking this as an opportunity to learn, taking this as an opportunity to grow as an individual, and not just have another day off. That's what celebrating Juneteenth means to me. That's why I love it. And I hope that as time goes on, we can really start to appreciate its true value in American history. Who do I love, respect, and honor? Mr. Charlie George Floyd is my father. And he is the single most important reason for me living the life that I live today. A lot of what I do as a man and as a father and as a community member, I do in hopes that, it'll make him proud. And I often have these conversations. I believe in having conversations with my ancestors. And so I often have this conversation with him and I say, "Hey, I hope this makes you proud. Any success that I have, I hope that it makes you proud." And I also do it to live a legacy, right? Our name means much to us. And so I never let my children go anywhere without knowing who they and what they come from, right? And so I believe our ancestors lived through the words that we choose to use about them. Do we say their names? Do we speak their thoughts? Do we share their voices? And so my kids are very familiar with Charlie Floyd and Bodie McCullough and Archie Harris and a lot of gentlemen that have passed away from this earth, but have remained present in spirit because of the values that they've instilled in individuals and not just me. How do I want to be remembered? I don't necessarily care how the world remembers me as much as I care how my children remember me. That's most important. I want them to know that they had a great father who gave everything that he could possibly give to them, who challenged and loved them, who showed them that they could be any and everything in the world. That's my aim. In terms of community, it's so fickle to where, I think people will often forget the things that you've done to help them. That if you focus on that and you marinate on that a whole lot, it'll distract you from your true goal. So I don't really focus too much on that. But I will say I focus a lot more on being present for my kids, being in the spaces that they need me to be in. I don't miss games. I don't miss birthdays. I don't miss events. And the respect that I have in the community also shows them that they can be respected in the community. From having conversations with the past 2 mayors to several Congress people, I'll say it that way, to being at the top of different organizations, to working with what would be considered the smallest of us. There's no variation there. And so having them to recognize that in me says like, hey, this is the type of individual that I want you to be in life, right? If you could walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. That's something that we teach in our family. I think the biggest lesson in love that I've learned is to find your successes and to find your failures and honor them both. And what I mean by that is to say, you participate in both the good and the negative of things, right? And to realize that your part in that helps you to do better in the next situation or the next opportunity. Also, that patience is very necessary. Patience with yourself, patience with others, and kindness. I think that's probably the 3 biggest lessons that I could say I have in love. Love, you have to experience it. And it's not one of those like didactic things, if you will, where it's just very fluid and, everything kind of lives in this euphoric state all the time. And you're trying to aim at this euphoria because that's not love. Love is sacrifice. Love is going through the hard things and understanding that you don't know when and why those hard things are coming. Sitting down with yourself and loving yourself first enough to know that you're not perfect. Right? And to really be as intentional as you could possibly be with you. Hey, this is Charles Johnson, and I'm inviting you to our June teen celebration this June 15, 2024. Our theme this year is love, respect, and honor, and we're hoping that you will come out and experience the love, the joy, the light, and the life with your fellow people in this community. Thank you.